Okay. Visiting Rotarians and guests, I see Sydney Wendel is with us. Do we have any other visiting Rotarians or guests? All right, then I'll lose my mind. Let's repeat the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, number one, is it the truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair for all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Good things to remember. Announcements. I'd like to recognize Chris Anderson, who is our Rotary Yours recorder today, and committee chair announcements. I know John Healy has one about the Red Kettle.
Yeah, well, today will be our last day for collecting online donations to the Red Kettle. And as a reminder, Vision Committee will match whatever we raise online. We had 9 club members that volunteered to ring the bells in person. So thank you for your service. So just last day to donate online. So thanks to everybody that has.
And so far, we're up to about $500, I think, online, which is what we're going to match through the Vision Committee. So if you can, you give some today, more will go to the Salvation Army. Oh yeah, Sharon.
Is everyone aware that the Salvation Army has a donor that will match any gifts that are given before or on December 24th? They can't go past that, but some donor will match any gifts that are given to Salvation Army by then.
Wow.
So if we could get our check in, but it has to be in their hands. So I don't know if that's possible or not, but they will.
I don't know if it is either, because I have to get 2 signatures.
Oh,
I wonder if we just told it was coming.
Make it possible.
I can see if Joelle will be in the office tomorrow, and then I'd have to drop it off.
Kathy, I can meet you anywhere you need if you need a signature.
Okay. All right. I'll be in Jamestown tomorrow at the office.
Yeah, Sharon, I wonder if we could just let them know it's coming, and that would be good enough.
it will not.
They don't trust us.
It's a hard line. They told us that. It's a hard line. As soon as it goes past, I think like 6 o'clock on the 24th, then everything,
Well, one of us could run over there with a personal check and then get reimbursed by the club.
Well, the biggest thing is we need to have the grand total.
Yeah.
So
So
I mean, we can get it done tomorrow.
But that would work.
Russ can determine the grand total by 5 o'clock today.
Right.
Get it to you, Kathy. And you need Joelle to sign, and who else?
No, I can get Lisa. I can sign. I just need to have a second signature. So whoever I can get to sign tomorrow for me.
Lisa already said she can. So I think we'll have it.
And do you know how to get that check over there? Do we know how to get the check over there?
Yeah, I can just go over to the office.
Oh, wonderful. Great. Okay.
I'm in Jamestown.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I want to ask a question. I was under the impression that you should not put your check in the pot when you're ringing the bell, because that doesn't necessarily count towards what our club is giving.
No, I'll take the club check over to their office tomorrow.
I know, but what I'm saying to our members need
to do tomorrow, because I was going to put a check in the kettle. So you're not recommending that?
No, it doesn't. We don't get credit for that. You could be Joe Blow on the street and putting a check in, and it doesn't come back and be counted to.
We still have to do a
our club. At least that's what I was told.
It's true. So yeah, there's a link on the chat room that you can make the donation online, and that gets credited to us.
Yep.
And then Russ, I need the list of all the donors too.
Okay. We got that figured out? Any other announcements? All right. Make sure you're comfortable, because here we go. I'd like to now call the annual meeting to order. Madam Secretary, please confirm the quorum.
We do not have a quorum.
We don't.
No.
How many do we need?
32.
Two more?
We need
32.
32. We only have 29.
Greg
All
is
right.
here. Greg is here. He's
I
not,
got Greg,
okay,
but there's 30 people,
Yeah.
including Sydney, and
no.
we love Sydney,
not a
but
member.
it doesn't count towards quorum.
Nope. Okay, then I guess we don't do our annual meeting. We'll
No,
do it
you can-
another time.
You can do the annual meeting, you just cannot vote.
Right.
Oh, all right, so we can do it, and then we'll vote.
And
sometime when we have
reconfirm,
more than
right.
32. Okay, all right, here we go. Madam Secretary, may we have the minutes from the last meeting?
I make a motion that we dispel with reading the minutes from the last meeting.
Second,
Sue, second.
Second. Sue, all right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. All right. The nominating committee for directors included the following members: myself, past president Sherry Kroll, Sharon Hamilton, Sue Jones, Greg Jones, and member Marion Beckering. We had a Zoom meeting and email discussions regarding potential directors. These discussions and nominations were also shared with the Rotary Board at the November meeting last week. All nominations were discussed with the nominated Rotarians. Sherry, would you like? Go
Sure.
ahead.
The following are the nominations for the directors of the Rotary Club of Jamestown's 2021-2022 board: Kevin Sixby, Chris Anderson, John Healy, Lindsay Alday, Kathy Birch, Steve Sandberg, and new nominees Marion Beckrink, Melissa Myers, and Kirk Young. Are there other nominations from the floor? Okay. As a member of the nominating committee, I move the nominations be closed, and I ask Madam Secretary to cast a unanimous ballot to accept the nominees as read.
Second.
However,
excuse me,
we can't do,
Go
we
ahead, Sue.
can't vote.
the membership will have to be polled by
Email.
email for the vote.
Okay,
These votes.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
okay.
I just read
No,
what.
it's okay. That's right. So those are going to be the directors. If everybody votes yes, plus a few more, all right? Okay. Steve, do you want to go next?
Sure. President Joni, Chris Anderson, and I were nominating committee for the Rotary Club of Jamestown's Board of Directors officers. The following are the nominations for the officers of the Rotary Club of Jamestown's 2021 through 2022 board: President Kevin Sixby, President-elect John Healy, Vice President Ruth Lundeen, Secretary Lisa Goodell, Club Treasurer yet to be determined, RCJCF Treasurer Kathy Birch, and past President Joni Blackman. Are there any other nominations from the floor? So we hold off on that too, right?
Yes.
Yep.
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 Nice
You
job.
heard, what?
Nice job.
No. Well, we need a club treasurer as of July 1st, 2021. So if anybody is just jumping at the bit to do that, or even leaning that direction, please get in touch with me. Russ is going to step down, and we thank Russ for his work. Okay. So, Kevin, you're next. Kevin.
Sorry, I was still muted here. All right, so Rotary Club of Jamestown Service Fund, RCJCSF board nominations. Current members of the board are myself, Steve Sandberg, Lisa Goodell, Katie Geis, Sherry Kroll, and Kathy Birch is our treasurer.
And Joel Washer.
And Joelle Washer. How did she, up there she is, yep.
The nominations will be discussed next month with that board. So we'll have a presentation to the club later about that board.
Correct.
Looks like we have a quorum now in terms of the numbers.
I don't know. Do we, Lisa?
We do, yes.
All right.
I'm not
All
sure
right.
who joined.
Joelle was
Okay,
one of them.
Joelle joined.
Okay.
Thank you, Joelle.
All right.
You're welcome, guys.
Everybody.
Sorry.
All right. So we're going to go back
All right.
to what Sherry talked about for the board members. So
Okay.
may I have a motion to accept the slate of nominees for service directors for the term July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2022?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, so we got a first and maybe a second in there somewhere.
Who was
Who
the
is the-
second? I've got Sherry as the first. Who was the second?
Me, Lee.
Me, Lee. Me,
Lee.
Lee.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. The board, the directors of the Rotary Club of Jamestown 2021 to 22 board is approved. All right, now we'll move to the list that Steve read to you about the officers. May I have a motion to accept the slate of nominees to serve as officers for the term July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022?
So move. Pat.
Who is, okay,
Pat.
Pat,
Yep.
second?
Wow.
Second, Sue Jones.
Sue, second. All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, the officers of the Rotary Club of Jamestown for 2021 to 22 are approved. Congratulations and thank you to all who were elected. Also, thank you to the members of the nominating committee. It was really nice to work with you. Now we'll move to the Vision Committee Chair and President-elect John Healy will provide a brief Vision Committee report.
Excuse me.
Okay, so the Vision Committee's focus for the past year has really primarily been on local support and grant donations to crisis response relief funds, charitable organizations helping out those in need. We donated to the CCIDA Pandemic Response Fund, United Way, and the Salvation Army. Internationally, towards the beginning of the year, we continue our support for Cambodia Academy and Tanzania School Project. And looking forward to next year, continuing on is really some local support, crisis response to charitable organizations helping out those in need. We're working through a grant to the Lucille Ball Theater for a new projector, and then also working with the city and various community organizations on a new entrance sign to Jamestown on North Main Street. So that's a brief update from the Vision Committee. And as always, we're open to any ideas and suggestions from the club. So thank you.
Treasurer Russ Webb will provide a brief financial report.
So for this year's budget, we kind of scaled everything back a little bit because of COVID. We're a little bit short. We're just short of a little over $100 at this point. So thank you everyone who's been donating. It's really helped fill the gap in. Other than that, we're in a good spot, planning out for what we needed to pay this year. So I will send out, or Joni and I will send out the income statement to everyone so you can see later today.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, I have a president's report that goes for a page and 3/4. I'll go through and give you the highlights, and then we'll throw the rest into the Rotary yours, because I don't think you really need to sit through all this, because we all want to hear what Sydney has to say. So, so I'll give you a quick list of the accomplishments for the first 6 months. I know we miss each other's company. I know we miss a shared meal and the fun of an in-person meeting. And we'll get back to it eventually, but for right now, our health and safety is most important. So this year we've had to postpone the golf tournament, you know that. The social events were moved online, and while they didn't have big attendance, they were fun. So thank you, Sherry, for showing us how to do that and keeping it going. District Governor Frank Adamson has visited us 3 times. He gave us his agenda, told us about Pedal for Polio, which we did well with. I have to tell you, we raised $1,750, which is really good for us. Yeah. He also inducted our 4 new members, which is fantastic to have 4 new members in the first 6 months of the year. That's great. Paulette Klein, Melissa Myers, Robert Anderson, and Maria Kinberg. Welcome.
Thank you.
I want to thank the membership committee, which is co-chaired by Tori Ergang and Joelle Washer, for taking the task on for growing our club through this time and reaching out to members. Colonel Vince, one more time, although he resigned as chair, picked it back up and has helped clean the highways again. So we are thankful for that. To date, the club has awarded 4 Paul Harris Fellows. Of course, the first one was we surprised the Troxels at their home. Thank you, Dan Overcash, for generating those awards. And then, of course, we surprised Chris Anderson and then asked Chris Anderson to put it online for us, which was really kind of funny. But anyway, he was given his award by a very appreciative Lisa Goodell, who also received a Paul Harris Fellow. Matter of fact, I think it was her 3rd or 4th. 3rd. More are sure to come. Greg Jones is very dedicated to getting these Paul Harris Fellows given out, and we have a list of them. He and Sue have been wonderful by attending the webinars that the district demands that the same 2 people go to every time. So they have been very dedicated, and we really appreciate that. But because of their work, we will be able to be involved in grant making for our club, the district, and for Rotary International. And again, because although we are not meeting in person, the committees are still doing their jobs. They're working. The program committee is chaired by Becky Robbins, and as you can tell, we have a program every week. They do a great job. Kathy Benson is chairing the invocation committee, although she's working in another job now and can't attend our meetings. She's still keeping an eye on it. Everyone has been very dedicated and very flexible. The communications committee, which is the one that you see the most, because that's chaired by Stu Jones. They're recording what we do every week, putting it up on Rotary Yours. And then Chris is also putting up the Zoom meeting, especially when I remember to record them. Thank you to Chris for refreshing and maintaining the website, uploading the newsletter every week, and being our support when we need to share something. Like next week, the acapella choir. We're still working out how that's going to work. Sue has also been spreading the news of what our club has been doing. You've seen that in the paper. I think there was one this past weekend, or 2 weeks ago. She's also been sharing it throughout the district. Thank you to Eric Harvey and Ruth Lunding and Lynn Gruhl for joining this committee. It rounded it out nicely, so not 2 people. 2 people don't have to do the whole thing every month. The literacy committee has been very active. They're installing little libraries and laundromats. They're collaborating with the AM Rotary Club, Love School. They worked with Jamestown Public School System for the LEAP program last summer and recorded books that they were shown online. So there were lots of views there. So they've been very busy, very hands-on. You heard from John about what has happened with Red Kettle. Thank you, John. And then also what's happening with the Vision Committee. The vocational committee has kind of had a little roadblock with the mock interviews, but they started doing the Rotary Wide. And thank you to everyone who has shared their Rotary Wide. In January, we hope to have a successful fundraiser with the midwinter wine tasting event, and I will be sending that out to you soon. the information about it, and we have a Facebook post that should be going up soon. But it will be a way for you to have a wine tasting provided by Johnson Estate Winery in your own home, January 11th. You'll need to pick up the wine and cheese that we're going to have, but you'll have that information soon. So I hope that is successful. Finally, I'd like to personally thank the board of directors who've been my support and sounding board, because I feel like, all kind of in a bubble doing this. They're dedicated to making this difficult year the best it can be. Thank you to Lisa Goodell for keeping us all on track, like we can actually have a vote today. Thank you. And Treasurer Russ Webb, who's following where all the pennies are. We're $100 to the good right now, and that's pretty good considering we haven't been in the same place all together for a long time. And I personally want to thank past President Sherry Kroll, because I call her up and go, what do I do here? And she always answers me, and she always helps me. And sometimes I don't even have to ask her. She sends me an email, says, you might want to think about doing this. And by golly, I was thinking about doing that. So I really appreciate that. So let us stay the course. Let us keep the mission of Rotary in mind. And that is, we provide service to others, we promote integrity, and we advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace for our fellowship of business, professional, and community leaders. That's what we do. And even if we're online for a long time, we can still do that. So remember, Rotary opens opportunity.
Here, here. Thank
And
you.
there,
Amen.
you're welcome.
Thank you,
Okay.
President Joni.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Nicely said, Joni. Thank you.
Okay. Happy Buck. Who doesn't Happy Buck? Who's got a Happy Buck? I should put a buck in for getting through all that.
I do.
Tony, we need to adjourn the annual meeting.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I went too fast. I was too happy to be done. Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Lee. Second?
Kurt,
Who's it
all
second?
right.
David is,
Kurt
David,
did.
that's all his hand.
Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. We're adjourned. Okay. Happy Buck. So,
Our son and former member, Matt Jones, will be participating in WJTN's live broadcast of It's a Wonderful Life at 7 o'clock on Christmas Eve. I hope you'll all turn in 1240 on your radio. And also, if you didn't hear yesterday, the reflections of past performances of a cappella were just outstanding. And that also was on the radio at their normal time for Vespers, which what they did was take former songs and reminiscences, and it was lovely. A little bit of this season anyway.
yeah. Other Happy Buck?
Well, I have a happy buck because I stayed up way past my bedtime last night to see the Cleveland Browns win another football game.
Yay!
They won 10 football games this season.
All right.
How's our local boy doing? Carlson.
He is pretty low in the depth chart, so he's really not getting in much. They have really good tight ends, but I think he's still on the team, but not getting playing time.
Good.
Any other Happy Buck?
I have a happy buck.
Okay.
I rang the bell for the Red Kettle at Tops on Washington last Thursday night, and there were so many generous donors and so many kind words. It was just a joy. They had to wait in line to put in the kettle.
Wow. Well done,
That's
Lee.
great.
It was
Great.
just really neat, really neat.
Right.
Great. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll do a happy buck. Syracuse beat yours, the Buffalo in basketball. It was a hard win.
You gotta get over here. They can't hear you, honey.
Oh, never mind.
Syracuse beat the University of Buffalo in basketball, and it was difficult for Syracuse. Obviously, our house was full of former attendees and lots of noise because at the same time, the Bills were winning.
Okay, we're going to move on. Please welcome past President Sherry Kroll, who will introduce our guest speaker.
Okay, thanks, Joni. Sydney will need to have the host, and I think hopefully she can. I think you need to accept it, Sydney, so she can share her screen. So once that's happened, then I will give her a brief intro.
Trying to find him.
I think it'll give you a notification, Sydney. Hopefully this will go well.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to make you host, and then you can hit the share screen button at the bottom.
Okay.
So when you're ready, you just hit the share screen at the bottom, and it'll let you choose a screen, and then you can go from there, and your presentation should come up.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so welcome, Sydney. I'm so happy to welcome Sydney back. It's been a long time since she's been home, and as you know, her year was ended rather abruptly, but she's been home and she's been doing some things. So I was just going to give you a little information about now, and then she can tell you about her year. But Sydney was our outbound in 2019, 2020, right? Did I do that right? I'm all confused with the years. Okay, so she's a graduate of Southwestern, and she's now a college freshman at Florida State University. And so since her return, she said she spent time with her family, and since the end of August until a week ago, she was completing her first semester online at home in Lakewood. And I know she was looking forward to going abroad. So I'm sure that was a kind of another disappointment on top of the first disappointment of having to come home early.
Yeah,
but she seems to have a pretty good attitude about it. She said she's been studying international affairs as her major, and in January she'll be partaking in another exchange program through her college to Valencia, Spain. And she leaves at the beginning of January, God willing, hopefully, right? That they don't. And she will return late in the summer. So she's a traveler. So welcome to Sydney. I want to let you go on and tell us about your year. I'm glad you're here.
Okay, so I just want to apologize now. I don't use Zoom very often, so if there's any problems, just let me know. But okay. I think I got it.
There you go.
Nice. Okay, so we'll get started. So as Sherry was saying, I was in outbound in the 2019-2020 year, and my exchange brought me to the Czech Republic. So as you can see by looking at the map, Czech Republic is right here, right in the middle of Europe, even though it was still considered Eastern European while I was there and while I was away. But our district was actually the Czech Republic and Slovakia, but like I said, the country I was staying in was the Czech Republic. So the next slide, we're going to zoom in. This is actually the Czech Republic right here, outlined in red. And you can see I was staying in Prague. That's where my club was. And we'll talk about these two pink hearts in just a minute. But my club was actually located in Prague, and that's where our meetings took place as well. And the city here are also two of their larger cities, Brno and Ostrava, which I had the opportunity to visit. They are quite large, but still nothing compared to Prague. So we're going to zoom in one more time. And this slide shows Prague, and these two hearts, I'll explain them in a minute. The black outline was what was considered Prague, but where most of these green little flags are, that's really the city center and where my friends and I would spend most of our time. The village and sort of the city in which I was living was called Ržičany. And I was actually in a smaller village outside of the city called Strašín. But this is where I lived. It was about a 20-minute train ride to the center of Prague. So it was very, very close. This other heart down here is Benešov. That is where my school was located. It was about a 5-minute walk from the train station. And then from the train station into Prague was about an hour train ride. So still fairly close. And almost every day after school, I'd be in Prague with my friends. So that was nice. So as I was saying, I spent a lot of my free time in Prague, and because this is where my club was located. So almost every day after school, that's where I would be. And these are some of my favorite pictures, and I'll explain them to you. This one right here is the National Museum, and this is the view from the steps at the National Museum. This is Wenceslas Square, and it was my favorite square because the first day, it was my second day in the Czech Republic, and my host mom had let me wander around the city for a while, and this is the first place I saw. And ever since then, it has been my favorite place in Prague. And also because they have a little, lots of shops along each side, and you can just walk in and out for hours, and there's so much to do there. So that's my favorite. This down here is actually a video taken from Prague Castle, which is just an overlook of the whole city. So, yeah, that's enough. This picture right here was from the first walking tour I ever did of Prague. Me and all of the other exchange students who were located in Prague. It was our first weekend, and we had taken a walk around the city, and this was the cathedral that's in, I think, the compound of the Prague Castle and where that was. And it's absolutely gorgeous, and I love it so much. So since I was in Prague, I always had something to do, and it was most times during the week I would spend my time in Prague, and we'd do a lot of different things. There were a lot of festivals. I attended plays and research facilities with my school. I went to organ concerts, art galleries, museums, sports games, and a lot of things like this. There's a lot to do during the week. This first picture right here, or video right here, is from a signal festival. They had a lot of light installations and on all the churches. I'll just show you because it's easier to understand that way. And this was all throughout Prague one night. And they had little installations like that all over the city, and it was really quite interesting. I also want to talk about this picture right here. While I was there, I was lucky enough to attend their 30th anniversary of their freedom from communism, which started in 1989. So when I was there, they had celebrated 30 years, and they had a huge festival. And the streets of Prague, they're about the size of, I want to say, Fairmount, and they were completely full of people. Like, there were so many people. I've never seen that many people before, but they were all there to celebrate their day of freedom, which is really interesting and really nice. This picture over here is me and my friends at a hockey game. And while I was there, I was also able to attend a soccer game with one of my host dads. So that was a lot of fun to go watch sports again. So this picture down here was from one of the research facilities we had visited with my class. And these two pictures are from Old Town Square. This one right here is actually the astronomical clock, which I had seen in action maybe once or twice. So that was really interesting too. It was also very important to my YEO, and I think to the other clubs in Prague, to show us things that were outside of Prague too, and show us the history of the country and not just of the city. So most times on the weekends, we would travel outside of the city to different places in the Czech Republic. I'm just going to talk about a few of these because I could go on for hours about what was here. This one up here was the Pilsner Brewery in Pilsen in the Czech Republic. The best way I can describe it was like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Just from the time you stepped in and the whole tour of the brewery, that's the whole like ambiance I was getting the whole time. It was really cool. Another one I like, this picture was taken in Terezin, which is where they had, it wasn't a concentration camp during World War II, but it was a transportation camp. It was kind of like a stop to somewhere else. And a political prison was there as well. So when you would walk through the city, it was there was almost no one there. And but they had all this history, and it was very, very interesting to hear about what happened there. And this one in the top right corner is also very interesting. We were standing at the top of the hill, and I believe it's an old folklore or fairy tale or something. And this mountain is where Czech was founded. And it's this whole story that I don't remember exactly, but it was quite cool to hear it. Oh, and this one right here was a view over Brno when we had gone to visit one of those bigger cities. So in this slide and the next one, I'm going to talk about the people, but also like my district and club, because they're all kind of related. So my district, like I said before, was the Czech Republic and Slovakia. So we had maybe 70 to 80 students in the whole district. So our first meeting was at the end of September, and we had all of these students here from both those countries, and it was a weekend where we all got to learn and meet each other and learn all the rules and everything, and it was a lot of fun. We had 2 more meetings after that. One was in December in Prague, and another one was in Třebíč in the end of January. But both of those meetings just had the students from the Czech Republic to split it up and make the groups a little smaller. But it was another chance to see our friends and everything like that. But as I was saying, and as I've said, I was in Prague, so there were other clubs besides my own, and there was about 11 other students in the Prague area, and we would hang out at least twice a week for our Czech lessons, if not more than that. So these are all my friends. These are the people that I was really close with on my exchange. We spent a lot of our free time together almost every day after school. So that was nice too. These 2 girls right here, this is my friend Deanna and Marina. They're from Mexico and Brazil. And they were the 2 girls that I was closest with while I was staying in Prague. This is another friend of mine. She was in the Czech Republic, and she's from Oregon. And her and I are very, very close. We still talk almost every day, and it's quite interesting. And then this is just another picture of my friends and I. This boy right here, he's from Mexico. His name is Jorge, and he was the other student in my club with me because there was 2 of us in my club. So yeah, that's all my friends and how the district was set up. So that's kind of cool. So this slide is about my host families and my club. This picture down here is of my club. I was in the Rotary Club Praha City. It was significantly smaller than this one here. When I had walked in, there was 20 people in the room, and I was like, okay, so this is fairly smaller than what I'm used to, but it was really nice because I got to talk with them more. This woman in red right here was my YEO, Martina. And this one here, and also up in this picture, was my counselor, Jana, and she was our club president that year as well. And this was another counselor, Vladimir. Our club was also pretty interesting because our club was the club of the district president. So we'd see him every once in a while at our meetings, and I thought that was really cool and really special that he was in the club that I was in. I don't remember a lot of the projects they talked about because the meetings were in Czech, but one big project that I do remember them discussing a lot while we were there was the creation of almost like a statue or a 3D model, I believe for people who were blind, so they could feel what Prague Castle looked like from where this statue was set. And that was something they would talk about at every meeting, and that was really interesting to me. This picture up here, like I said, this is my counselor Yana and my YAO Martina. Martina actually ended up being my first host mom, and her husband Yerka was my host dad. They had just sent their son to Russia, so I was the only student in the house, and I had a lot of fun with them, and yeah. So after about at the end of October, they had me move to a different host family because my host dad had some medical issues, and they didn't want to put me through that stress while I was there. So I moved on to my second host family. Trying to see, the woman in the picture, her name is Lenka. The dad was Ivan. The boy all the way to the right, his name was Martin, and that was their son. He was in his early 30s, so he didn't live at home, but we would still see him every once in a while. And the one boy all the way to the left, he was in his early 20s, and he was still going to university. But since it was in Prague, he just lived at home with me and my host family. So the second host family was more like my own. I'm not really sure how it was, but it felt like comforting to be with a family that was like my own too. So that was really nice. So that's kind of about how my life was set up and where I lived and my district and clubs. And these next few slides are just some things that I liked about my experience and that I wanted to share with you guys. So the first was the food. These first two dishes are what almost every Czech meal was like. These were my lunches most days at school. It was some sort of carb, like these bread dumplings, which were very unique to the Czech Republic. We had them with every other meal, or potatoes in some form. Usually some sort of meat and then a sauce or a gravy. These meals were a little bit special because I had, I guess, a vegetable sort of that wasn't very normal, but it happened every once in a while. In this one, it's sauerkraut, and the other one, it's some sort of spinach. These right here, they're called tradelnik. They're a very touristy dessert in the Czech Republic. They're dough covered in cinnamon and sugar, and ours we had filled with ice cream. We didn't get them very often because we didn't want to seem like major crazy tourists, but we had to do it at least once. But you can see them in vendors and stores and shops all over the Czech Republic. Up here are just some desserts from a bakery. They weren't very sweet. They were like a flaky dough and jelly for most of the desserts, but they were really, really good. And this one down in the bottom is tiramisu. Oh, it was the best thing I've ever eaten, and it was around the corner from my school. So I would go there once a week, and I would get myself something good for a week of school, basically. Okay. So the next slide is of the Christmas markets. This was another thing I really liked while I was away and that I really do miss, being able to walk around. They had vendors that were either to sell food or to sell some little trinkets or gifts for Christmas. They were up all throughout December, and they were absolutely beautiful, as you can tell. This one in the bottom right-hand corner was my favorite. It was in Náměstí Míru. It was my favorite because it was a stop on the way home, and I would get myself some dinner. I'd eat a kielbasa, a piece of bread, and then I'd head home for the day. So I really liked that one. This one right here was also from a trip I had taken with my host family to Dresden, Germany. They wanted to take me to one of the Christmas markets there. So that was very interesting too. And lastly is my story about Ski Week. Ski Week was an optional trip offered to both the students in the Czech Republic and Slovakia. It was a week long. We would get up in the morning, we'd ski, we'd have lunch, we'd ski again. And there was about 50 or 60 of us. But the reason I included this is because when we were on ski week, COVID kind of crept into Europe. And while we were there, things would get closed down. So I think it was Monday, the schools were closed, Tuesday, the cities was closed, and so on and so forth. Until we got to Thursday, we were sitting at lunch and they told us that we were going to have to go home. But the issue was that there were students from the Czech Republic in Slovakia, because that's where we were skiing. So Friday was a frantic day of trying to figure out how to get that many students, about 40 of us, back across the border, because they wouldn't let that many people cross the border at that time. So what we had to do was take a bus of about 40 kids and drive 15 minutes to the Slovak-Polish border, where we then crossed over by foot, got on another bus and went through Poland for a few hours, and then was able to successfully make it into the Czech Republic on time before they closed the border. So that was a big feat for us also. So that was kind of fun, a little interesting, but it was a fun last story before I got to go home. And yep, so that's the end of my year, because I did end up coming home early because of COVID. So yeah, that's it. But I just wanted to thank you all for, you know, everything that you did for me, for sponsoring my trip and for being there support throughout the whole process, even the year before I was leaving too. So thank you guys so much. And that's it.
Thank you, Sydney. Does anyone have any questions for Sydney?
It's hard to tell.
No? Okay.
How's your
Well,
Czech?
thank
Are
you.
you able to speak Czech?
A little bit. It was really hard because, you know, in Spanish, you'll conjugate verbs and adjectives, but in Czech, you conjugate verbs and adjectives and nouns and almost everything. So it was hard to keep up with all the charts, but I can speak a little bit, but not very much.
I just
Well,
wanted
as long
to
as
tell
you can find the bathroom.
Yeah.
Really. I wanted to tell the club that the kids that went Sydney's year, we had a really neat, that was such a great year. You kids, before you went, everybody spent a lot of time together and we got to know each other. And so we were all really invested in your trip. And then when it had to end early, it was tough for them. But I want to say Sydney had a great attitude, and I think she would have stayed the whole time if they let her. I think they kind of had to kick you out, didn't they?
Yeah, so because I was staying with my second host family for so long, for maybe 5 months, I felt really comfortable when they asked me, like they thought it'd be good if I left. And I really did trust them. So I didn't want to, you know, put them in a position where I was saying, no, like, I don't respect your opinion, because I did. And I knew that they were looking out for me. So.
I think the thing too with the kids that we had, and hopefully Patrick will come and tell us about his year in Finland sometime, but the thing is the kids obviously didn't want to come home, but traveling home became a problem because they couldn't find flights. There weren't enough flights to the States, and then things started to close down. So these kids were really resilient because they had to give up so much of what they planned to do while they were there. I think you packed a lot in the short time you were there, and I know how much you were looking forward to your trip. But the fact that it became a situation of not only when you were going to come home, but how you were going to get home. And your family was also very supportive of that as well. So I'm glad that you got a chance to enjoy as much as you did. And I'm super glad that you're going to continue to keep traveling. That's wonderful. That's what this is all about, Rotary connecting the world. So we're proud of you for doing such a great job.
Thank you.
I think there might be questions, or are you waiting?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Sydney, that was a really great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
And a couple things. One is that do you have plans to ever include Czechoslovakia in a return trip? And the other question was that you mentioned at some point you were doing some research when you showed the photograph of something, and I was curious to know about that research.
Oh, yeah. So it wasn't necessarily research on my own. It was my biology class had taken a trip. We were looking at different skeletons and fossils. I think it was a research facility through Charles University. So it wasn't my research necessarily, but it was for my class. So it was still interesting to see those sort of things.
Right.
And of course, I plan to make a trip back. I actually have a foolproof plan because I have left a lot of stuff at my host family's house. And I need to go back and get it because most of it is snow clothes. And, you know, living here, I need them.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
So obviously the Czechs are very well known in the Olympics for their skiing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about the skiing versus Western New York.
So I'd never known that about the Czechs, but that's kind of weird because my host family was telling me almost all the time, the Czech Republic doesn't have very good mountains. They're very flat. So when we would go skiing, we'd have to go out of the country, most times to Germany or Slovakia.
Okay.
But they did have, a lot of people went to Italy for skiing too.
Okay. And
So
obviously
when we
ice
did go
skating,
away,
I think you can fact check this, but I think Dominic Hasek, which you wouldn't remember, was a famous goalie from the Sabres. I think he was from Czech Republic.
yeah, hockey is really big there.
Real big. Yeah.
Yeah. We had gone to one game, I think, and I was very disappointed in myself for that because I really like watching hockey. I wish I went to more games, but
sure,
they were ending the season anyway. So
When you go back and get your boots, you can go back.
I know. I even have all my merchandise from the first time I went. So
all right,
bring it with me.
Randy, you had a question?
Just a question, quickly, Sydney. What did you find? How do they feel about us in the United States in general?
Oh, I don't know exactly.
They all love Sydney.
Yeah, that's
Wonderful ambassador for us.
They thought that everything we did was very interesting. I'm trying to think. So when I would talk with my classmates, sometimes we'd be talking during gym class, and they always thought it was very interesting in how, like, maybe sometimes how we dressed or how we acted, like out on social media or other things like this, was very surprising to them. In terms of the coronavirus, when we were coming back, my host dad explained it well, that what was different from the United States is that the people in the Czech Republic have lived through communism. My host parents actually lived through communism. So he was explaining that when the government tells them to do something, say they tell them to turn right, 50% of the people will turn right, 25 will go straight, and then another 25 will go left. But for the most part, you have the majority of people following rules. And I just remember my host's dad, at least when he was explaining it, he thought that the US wasn't like this. People go
So, they went into a traffic circle.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
There we go, right.
He understood like the freedoms we have and the times that he had lived through, and that just the US didn't experience. So it just makes a difference in the way that they live.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What did they think of our president?
Oh, I had more questions about my president from my other friends on exchange than I had of my Czech classmates. But it was mostly, they tried to ask you what you thought of him, and I said, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't very into politics, so I didn't know very much.
Just as well.
Yeah.
That's right. Plead the fifth.
Yeah, try to keep it to a minimum. That's what that's what we needed to do.
Yeah, that's right. Any other questions? Thank you, Sydney. That was wonderful.
Yeah,
we really
Thank you,
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next week, if the stars align right, we will have the acapella videos that they have up on YouTube right now. We will try to get those and show those during the meeting next week. So it'll be pretty relaxed, no voting. So I look forward to that. In the meantime, everybody have a very Merry Christmas.
You too.
And Happy Hanukkah and all those things. And we'll
Merry Christmas.
See you next week.
All right.
Remember, Rotary
Merry
opens
Christmas.
up again.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Bye.
Like a delightful young lady.
She sure did.
Hey, guess who's coming to see me in a few minutes? Bud Erickson.
That's the longest we've met in a long time.
Oh, nice.
Trying to get out of my
He's
view.
dropping off a box of awards he got from Rotary.
Wow.
I'm like, they're not for me or the club, they're for you. So I'm thinking I may take the time to spread them out on the table and take a picture of him near them. So that he has them. Wouldn't you think his family would want to have that information? Anyway.
Great.
Okay. So I'll keep spreading a little bit. See you later.
Bye.
Oh, thank goodness I'm gone.